It wasn't made in quick, and we're live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. We're here. Woo! Hello, hello, people. What's going on? Oh, yeah. We have a quick banner that we don't need. How's it going? So happy you joined us, everyone joining in from home and joining our little celebration here for Qwik V1.
There we go.
Woo.
There we
There we
go.
Yeah.
go.
And so happy. Yes. Shai, do you want to take it over? Let
Yeah.
introduce
So,
us.
welcome everyone to this, very special surprise. Okay, we want to surprise you, so we issued the blog post, and then we're saving the surprise for now.
We
And
tweeted too.
Apparently, there's
Don't
even some
forget.
surprises I don't know about, so I'm kind of curious.
yeah. We still have more stuff. So to kick things off, wanted to get to know everyone in the lovely comments and in the chat. So we prepared like 3 questions of trivia about Qwik and the team, so everybody will know each other and will be one big family. So Yoav, can you share the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so you can see you have like a QR code, right? So you can participate and just answer the following question. What is Qwik? An HTTP protocol, a new and innovative web framework, a name of an Hungarian duck, or a weird way to say the name Kirk?
Wow.
Okay, we
read
have
duck
people
differently, but
answering.
never mind.
Yeah, I
We'll
was
see
actually
who-
thinking a QR code, like people might be joining, it's kind of like a hard setup, no?
Yeah, I also I think I have a
We
copy.
should paste the link somewhere in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
comment.
I think it's a new system,
Ah.
Okay, but we have people like with QR codes actually filling up.
Are you
And
sure
yeah,
with
you
QR
can see
codes,
the
not
numbers.
QRL codes?
Yeah.
Oh, we're starting. Okay.
This was not my
Okay.
joke. It came from the chat. I'm just, saying it. out loud.
Okay. Yeah. Like it came from. Okay, yeah, because I see your name on the chat saying that. Awesome. We have 46 people. 40. Like wow.
Well,
So many
lots of people
tuning. How many
participating.
people are like live? Can you see like how
Live
many?
now.
Over 100. Yeah.
Yep.
Over 100. What I told you, Yav, we will reach like 400.
Damn it.
Easy.
I owe you something. Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Let's bring it up. Bring your friends. Tweet it out.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm kind of
Yeah,
waiting
share
for
the
the
app.
dad. I'm kind of joking, waiting for the dad joke from Mishko, and then start to see all the followers like fall. So I want to see like the number. Like just have it right here.
You are just jealous of my dad jokes. My dad jokes are legendary. Even my kids run away when I start telling them.
We
They're-
have basically if we have a new startup with like a ChatGPT that generating continuously dad jokes for Mishko whenever he's not coding.
Actually, ChatGPT, you can ask a joke of ChatGPT and ask it to explain it, and it actually does a surprisingly good job explaining why it's funny.
If somebody
okay.
needs a dad joke explained, then that's a problem. And the fact that you go to ChatGPT to check that out, Mishko. Great.
Sometimes
Yeah,
I don't
so-
get them.
Go ahead, Chat.
Yeah.
So,
So
Shai.
by the way, I think it will be valuable while we're like playing this game to we'll give it like 1 more minute and then we show the result. Just maybe to for people who are just hearing about Qwik for the first time and don't know any of us, okay, it will be a good place to maybe say our name and what we do and stuff like that. So people will know. It's also for the next question. Okay, so let's start with Mishko.
Hi, I am Mishko. I guess I'm known for this other thing called AngularJS. And I'm pretty sure there is a video of me somewhere on a web saying, that's it, I am making no more frameworks. And looks like I messed up a little bit and I made another one. But I'm promising this time, this is going to be the last one. I am not making another one. So that's me. Adam, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm Adam Bradley. Previously, I worked on Ionic Framework, and that's how I got to know Mishko, working on Ionic and Angular. Also worked on Stencil with Manu, and also with Manu on Ionic.
Who goes
And
now?
God,
Manu,
I
go,
think-
go.
I go down.
No, it's
Adam,
you.
you need to say. We need to say the next one because otherwise we get to this awkward silence where everyone is like, and then we
I'm
jump at
pretty
the same
sure-
time.
I thought I queued you up quite well, but you didn't pick up on the cue. So
So my name is Manu. I'm from Spain, working now in Hungary, in Budapest. I work with Adam, as he said, in Ionic. We build Stencil, so another framework, web components that time. And now I'm working in Builder, building Qwik with this awesome team.
Okay, I just want to
so-
say, like, Adam and Manu are just some of the most amazing people I've ever worked with. Super excited. And the whole Builder
Second that.
team as well. Anyway, sorry, Yoav. Sorry, didn't mean to get in front of you.
No problem. No, that's something that has to be said. And I am one lucky mother of a gun to be working with all these amazing people. Really. So yeah, hi, I'm Yoav. I do developer experience and DevRel for Builder.io. And I think this is the right time to introduce our most famous person here. I think, no, we're joking about that before. Steve, take it away.
Mishko is definitively the most famous. Actually, if we're counting followers, I think I surpassed my
You
followers.
surpassed me, man. You
That's kind
came
a
out of
different
nowhere.
thing.
Came out of nowhere, man, and crushed me. It's not even funny. It's embarrassing.
I mean, hey, you've still got room to catch up. Anyway, I'm Steve. I post on Twitter and complain that Qwik wasn't in V1 about once a day for the last 1.5 years. So we're finally here, not because I did anything, but because I'm the CEO of Builder, and we're just super excited to be building this amazing project for you all. It goes really well with our visual headless CMS too. But anyway, why don't we move over to Shai? I think you are last on our list, and saving the best for last.
Thank you very much. I'm Shai Resnick. I'm the community DevRel for Qwik. Also, me and Mishko recorded a free course on quickschool.com. And I'm really excited to work with this awesome thing. And don't think you're right, Steve. You have a lot to do with Qwik. You're the, together with Mishko, like the visionaries who saw, like, what's coming ahead and make it all happen.
He's Nick Fury, right?
Mm-hmm. So so happy to be here, and can't wait to get it started. And with that, I think we're good to start seeing the results. Okay, so let's close the poll, okay, and see the result. Okay, most of the people think it's a new and innovative web framework. Thank you very much, chat.
I was really hoping that people will kind of catch on to this and just vote anything but that.
We'll see. No. Let's move to the next question and see, what's next. Okay, so ready? Go. Which of the following statement is true? Mishko is vegetarian. Manu is an award-winning ice skater. Adam is a classic car enthusiast, and Steve never ever brushes teeth during meetings.
Put your votes in now.
Yeah. People are voting. Ooh, we have people like, wow.
Oh, fighting. Only you can see
like,
it, Shai.
I can see, like, the people, like, answering different questions.
Oh, wait.
That's interesting.
It's like, which one is true? I thought which one is false. Okay.
No.
We're like,
okay.
We're not even sharing how many are true or false, right? Yeah, people have to guess. This is a hard one.
Are you also filling it up, Manu? It's like for the audience.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I would totally do it if I had my phone nearby.
Of course. Okay, I think we're getting ready to share the results. Everybody is in some suspense. Okay, no pun intended. Okay, let's see. Oh, people are still filling it up. Okay, how many people we have watching? Oh, 122. Nice. Okay. Let's see. And I think we're good to go. Let's see the results. And boom. Okay, so
There's much better.
Pretty close. Oh, so Steve,
Wow.
okay. Do you want
Wow.
to?
Okay. Does
Right?
Steve need to say something, or the people that go to meetings with Steve need to answer this question?
We'll keep it a secret. You know, we won't share what is like, you know, not true, but we'll say that you know, although Manu, I think you have the outfit, but you never won an award, right? And Mishko is like a meat eater, right? All the way.
You know, just to
Right?
make
hold
it
on, hold
clear,
on.
like I love animals. They're delicious.
Whoa.
Wait.
Okay,
What is the?
Shots fired.
We got to go
Okay,
slower
yeah.
here. There's a lot of context behind these. I know the Mishko one, but that's probably worth going a little bit deeper on. But what is Manu has an ice skating outfit? Is that what you said? I don't know anything about this.
I don't know either.
No,
This is great. This is
I
working.
don't know either. So
it's not
we're
true.
shy,
Not
like,
true.
This one is a left field one because there's like some.
It's not true.
There's
Okay,
a background. to
none
the
of
rest
these, none of these, none of these are true except the third one, right, Adam?
That's correct.
Wait, what do you mean?
You
Adam
build
is a
your
classic
own
car
car.
enthusiast,
So like the most
That is the true one.
normal one.
yes.
Yeah.
and Steve has never ever brushed his teeth. Of course he has. So wait a minute, there's two of them that are true.
It was like a negative. No, it
Oh,
says I
it's a
haven't
double
got it.
negative. Oh, you
Oh my
confused
God.
me.
Double
Oh.
negative.
Yeah.
So people know Yoav and Manu and Shai are in very different time zones. I'm on West Coast time. So they always ask me to jump on meetings at 7 a.m. and I need to brush my teeth. And they'll hold me on a meeting for like an hour at a time. Like, hey, jump on for 10 minutes. An hour later, we're still talking about who knows what. So I brush my teeth and floss.
Okay, awesome.
We
So
still
let's-
haven't seen him floss in live.
I turned the video off. That one felt weird to have on video.
Yeah.
Okay, ready for the next question. What will be the announcement for today? Shine, you are forming a developer relationship. Mishko is leaving Qwik to start a new brand of fish sticks called Fishco's. A minor release to Qwik RC 0.108 is out. Yay. Or Qwik 1.0 is out. Let's freaking go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I like the fish
Okay,
sticks.
Yeah, I like that too.
Dude, get that
Didn't you buy the domain?
Mishko.
Oh no, I did not. I guess it's too late now. Somebody's
Too
out
late
getting
now.
it.
Now we have 100 people competing now on fishcos.com. Dot ocean.
Somebody needs to put up a quick site with like a really good splash page there. Whoever gets the domain first.
Swag is promised to the first one that does that.
Oh, definitely.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, I have only a couple of these like custom made, so maybe we can ship one of these special editions.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why do I always feel left out on swag here? Like I don't have anything. I have a sticker. That's all I have. That's Qwik logo sticker.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
you gotta
3D
3D
printed your own
print things.
swag. We'll get
Where's
you
your
stickers.
your 3D
You know,
model?
I gave it all away. I don't think I have it here. Let me see.
That's,
Mishko, I'll get you
that's
sent
the
one more
problem.
sticker.
Okay, ready for the results? Let's see the results. And it's surprising, but yeah, most of the people think it's 1.0 and 30% think it's Fishco's all the way. We did it.
Yes.
Yes, awesome.
This
Okay,
was
so
actually kind of a way to get Mishko to do this. This is a kind of a testing it out, right?
Mhm.
Throwing it out,
Test-driven,
trying out the hook.
Fishco development.
Fishko. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, okay, we're good, and that was the final question, and we're ready to start. So, I see a lot of great, people in the chat, lots of familiar name. Great to see you all, and I think you can I think pull off the screen or take off the
Yes,
screen,
just a second.
and yeah, let's move to the
let's keep
next
going.
part. Yeah, so we're excited, and a lot went into Qwik, and it will be awesome to hear from you guys, the guys who created the framework, like the backstory, how this thing got created, and how do you feel now, and such.
Well, first of all, I think we all feel pretty excited. And before I even tell you the backstory, I really want to send a shout out to Adam and Manu. The amount of time and effort that they put in there is tremendous. I assume you just zoomed me in. Not all of you guys have quit because everybody disappeared from the screen. Anyways, the amount of time and effort that Adam and Manu put in is absolutely ridiculous. And of course, shout out to Steve for believing in us and seeing a way to bring this forward along with the startup. And and also the bigger community such as Yoav and Shai helping us with the community out there. So it's super, super exciting stuff. So question is, how did all of this get started? And I think you have to go back to about 2019. And I was at NGConf and I was trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about. And so I had this crazy idea. Hey, why don't I talk about like, what would it take to make the absolutely fastest possible, startup performance? And the idea was kind of preempted because internally Google has a framework called Wiz. And Wiz does all kinds of interesting tricks to kind of get a really good startup performance. And so this was kind of a bit of an inspiration. It's like, they do kind of interesting stuff. Could we do something similar? Could we bring this to Angular? And so I gave this, I guess now infamous presentation in 2019 in NGConf. And I had these paper clips everywhere and saying, hey, this is, not a real syntax, just pretend for me for a second. And I kind of went through this idea of like, hey, what makes existing applications slow? And I named it actually replayability. And then I said, what we need is a way for you to resume the application. I actually coined the term resumability in that video. I need to find that video and share it with you. And so I basically told it to several thousands of people and said, hey, here's my idea. This is how we make a super fast startup performance framework. And guess what? Nothing happened. And so anybody who thinks that, if you have a cool idea that somebody's going to steal it from you and, be a famous or whatever out of it, that's not how the world works. You pretty much have to chase after people and convince them and beg them to work on your ideas. It is not definitely, people just steal things. So,
Mishu, I remember, I remember in that presentation, every slide, like every second slide was like, disclaimer, this is not, it's okay. We are not breaking changes. This is just an idea. Next slide. No. It's disclaimer. It's just an idea, guys. Don't calm down. It's okay. I remember that.
Yeah. So this is kind of where it started, and it was sitting in the back of my head for several years, and I was, coming to it back and forth whether I should work on it or not. And then, at some point, I kind of said, I've been at Google for long enough. I've been at Google for 16 years, and that's a long time. And I don't think after 16 years, you really have to have any sort of excuses for leaving. It's like, hey guys, 16 years is long enough. I'm either going to become institutionalized or I'm going to stay here forever. And so I started looking to a lot of different companies and, exploring like, what do I want to do next? And I actually tried really hard to make sure that a framework was not going to be on the list. So I talked to just about everybody I could think of. And one of the people I talked to was actually Steve. And at first, Steve was just pitching Builder to me and how amazing it was and everything. And I was just politely listening. I was like, hey, that's pretty cool stuff. I like it, Steve. And then a few days later, I kind of was like, maybe I should pitch my idea to Steve in, kind of a reverse thing. And so I called up Steve again. I was like, Steve, I have an idea for you. And I kind of laid out this idea of a resumable framework. And I was also kind of working on it on the side. And Steve immediately got it and immediately was like, hey, I was trying to do this forever and I wasn't able to succeed. Maybe let Steve kind of tell this part of the story.
Yeah, I can give this little bit if Yoav, you can. Yeah, there you go. So we were running into this problem with Builder. So for those that don't know, Builder is we call it a visual headless CMS. So imagine a headless CMS that connects to your apps. You have structured data. Cool. That's really important. But then for certain parts of your pages or website, especially something like e-commerce, you actually would rather the primitive to be not like database fields that you're editing, but components. Arrange your components in different ways, ship new pages, test pages, whatever. It's pretty important in something like e-commerce, marketing sites, stuff like that, where you're running new variations, you're generating landing pages. And at that old company, we had teams of engineers trying to make all these things. And ultimately, it's like, this should be automatable. There should just be a visual thing. Components are the right primitive. Let's make the CMS speak component, not just fields. And so that was really cool. And we made it, so that it could work with any framework, all this stuff. And we had these large e-commerce and other types of verticals kind of companies using it. And what we kept finding, though, is people were having trouble in general with their websites having good performance. So they would like use Builder to make a page, and we would do all kinds of crazy optimizations to like how images are delivered and how the content's delivered and all these detailed things. But it would never get a better performance score than the rest of their site. And they're like, hey, this whole page was made in Builder. We just drag, dropped, and made the whole thing. You say you do all these awesome optimizations, but the page score only went up a couple points versus the thing we had hard-coded before. And so the first thing I was thinking is like, well, let's make sure our website's really fast. So we had a Builder-generated React-powered website. And I was like, hey, we were getting like 50 out of 100 on Google PageSpeed Insights Mobile. And we're like, well, let's get this faster. Let's make this green, right? I think 50 is like a yellow. Let's give one example website that's integrated with Builder very fast. And so we were having trouble getting really good performance scores. And I was going through the Lighthouse recommendations, doing every little thing. Again, it's like images, all this stuff. And eventually was having trouble. So I said, hey, Builder can output to anything. It could be solid.js, it could be Angular, Vue, all the stuff. And I was able to move the performance score a little bit. Like different frameworks would change the performance, characteristics a little bit. And I would get up to about 60, but I still was extremely struggling to get one website. And I pulled out Builder. I mean, Builder generally made things faster, not slower, but is like, can I make any website that's non-trivial that gets a decent performance score? And non-trivial means it's interactive, it's dynamic, it has third-party scripts, all this stuff. And I failed until eventually I started generating like a custom compiled output where we would compile all your components to pure HTML and we would just leave off the JavaScript. And we discovered quickly that as soon as you just remove the JavaScript from the website, your performance shoots up to 100. Like it's nothing. Like I was struggling to get 1 or 2 performance points, no JavaScript, lightning fast, which makes sense. The way our frameworks hydrate today is they are downloading and executing a lot of code, which is just more to wait on to download, more to wait on to process before that page actually can be interactive. The ironic part is a lot of stuff people make in Builder, like a homepage, is a pretty static page. Like this page could just be HTML with a little sprinkle of interactivity. So we tried generating little bits of JavaScript and this and that, but it was really hard to figure out how this would scale. Like how would you componentize it? How would you lazy load it properly, all this stuff. And that's where I ran into Mishko, who's like, hey, I've made a framework that doesn't need JavaScript to execute to load and does it granularly and very, very lazily in the right way. Eager loading, but lazy to execute. And that was just like, we plugged that into Builder and we generated our homepage now with Qwik. And whereas with any other framework, 60 was the best we could get, instantly was 100. And it was like, this is a no-brainer. We need to open source this. We need to make this a thing. And I'll shut up there. I've long-winded anyway, but yeah, that was the backstory of like, oh, we need this. And our customers constantly run into this with or without Builder. They're struggling to have good scores, but the types of content you're trying to make with Builder are fast loading, SEO optimized, conversion optimized. And yeah, so now we have Qwik we can recommend to them. And back to you, Mishko.
So Steve, what was the project called back then?
That's right. He called it Qt. QOOT. A lot of people misread it. That was a little bit of a challenge. And the idea was, you explained the idea of it. I hated the name. I kind of instigated us changing it. But
you were not the only one that hated it, apparently. No, that's
it was a horrible name.
Like Adam didn't want to join to work on something called Qt. No.
Well, everybody was mispronouncing it, which really was the problem. The reason it was called Qt is because I needed a bootloader, which is now called the Qwik loader. And I was like, oh, it's going to be called boot, but I have these things called QRLs everywhere. So I'm going to just add a Q over there in front of it. And so instead of a boot, it's going to be cute, right? And then I kind of realized, well, it's also kind of acute. Like if you put an A in front of it, it's going to become acute. And acute is kind of an angle. So I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, you could have a organization name called acute.
Or so acute hematoma.
That sounds
right.
like that sounds
yeah.
like
It was a stretch, and it fits. It's on.
It is stretching. Okay.
On brand.
And yeah, let's just say that it didn't go very well, and so we were off looking for a new name, and we had a kind of a race, and people came up with everything, and I believe it was Patrick JS.
Patrick JS
with JavaScript.
No, he is a JavaScript package himself. That's why he can come up with great names. for other frameworks.
Yeah, no, I thought for the longest time that JS was kind of like his extension because he was a JavaScript fanboy. Turns out that's his actual name. It's like, oh yeah, Patrick JS. Like, what's your real name? And then he's like, oh, really? That's your real name? Okay. So then we renamed it to Qwik, and now came the hard part of actually kind of productizing it. And I somehow had to convince Adam to join. And so maybe Adam, you tell this part of the story. How did I manage to do this? Like, I have no idea. Like, I feel like
it's when you show me the first versions of Qt, it was quite the hard sell because like it was not easy to use. I remember like pulling it down on my own computer and trying to use it. And it's like this is very difficult to kind of figure out and reason about. But the performance of it was pretty amazing. I mean, that was the part that did blow my mind. And I remember like arguing with you or having a healthy discussion of just like, well, no, it doesn't, hydration isn't that bad. It's just fine, how it works and things like that. And then you'd show me like, well, this is what it's doing instead. And you sit back like, oh yeah, I guess he's right. So there was many instances of that, of like kind of like first time getting a rethink of how the JavaScript framework should work. It's like, oh yeah, that it is kind of crazy. Why are we hydrating at every single level, every single DOM node? And so I think that's what kind of convinced me of like this isn't just yet another, JavaScript framework. This is actually something different. And yeah, I think that's what convinced me. And I've been having a lot of fun since then.
I'm sorry, before we jump to Manu, I'm going to interject here a little bit. And, when I was deciding what to do after Google, I set myself a very strict goal. And the strict goal was like, I wasn't going to do, if I was to do a framework, it could not be yet another like better DX framework. Like it had to be fundamentally different. Because unless it's fundamentally different, like it's not worth the change, right? And so for the longest time, I just didn't want to do anything in this particular domain. And what convinced me in the end is that this is a fundamentally different way of doing things. And because of that, I think it's worth the trouble. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to Manu. Manu, how did you come here?
Well, I come from also like building libraries since I was like 15, make a game, and then I quickly fall into like the game engine. I always like having more fun building the framework than the product, right? I always have a lot of fun with that. And I was working with Adam, and then after that, I was working with Adam in Ionic. I left to kind of pursue my own projects, which, it was fun. It didn't go that well. And then I was in this situation where I was looking into what was going to be next. And Adam by then was already working with Builder on this kind of framework. And I was like, first of all, I have this immediate reaction, like, seriously, like another framework, like, why? Like it kind of feels like at this point, how to build website is already figured out, right? Like it's always a challenge because all the other frameworks are already going to be like incrementally shipping a new features. Like if you're just building a new framework because you want a feature, it feels kind of like was kind of stupid, right? Because all the other framework will just add this feature if it's a good thing. But then you have kind of the same demo, right? Like I remember this was like, kind of late, and I joined this meeting, and like Mishko showed me Qwik. I think at that point it was already called Qwik.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, like first 15 minutes, I was not impressed. I was like, no one is going to use this. Like that no one going to use this. It's complicated. Like the DX already is like so far that no one is going to go through the trouble. But then I kind of realized that this is so different. Like what is being pursued here is nothing that any other framework can add, right? This is something like there's something really going on here. So I think kind of my motivation was like, can we take this fundamentally different idea, right, and get the best DX? So it's not longer a choice of I want to use Qwik because it has this very fast performance, right? I want to use Qwik because it has the best DX, and then it has also these things, right? And I think during all these years, like I think already like 2 years, like kind of make it wider what DX means, right? And I think Qwik embraces performance in the concept of DX, right? And I think maybe this is a kind of a wide topic, but what it means to me is that when you build something with Qwik, right, you get a performance by default. Like you don't have to refactor. Like the way you build something is automatically fast, and it is extremely, it's a big challenge, right? And I think like that was what I have in my mind, and definitely, you know, it's been crazy 2 years, and we are here today, and I think we kind of prove it. It was not obvious many times how to solve things, and now everything looks obvious, right? But when it's done, I think it's something like we usually talk, like when it's done, it's easy, right? But it was not by then. It was a big challenge.
So let's actually talk about that more. But before we do that, I actually have another kind of a tangent that I wanted to jump on, which is, when I was still working on Qt and I was showing it to Steve, I really did not want to build another framework because I understood that the amount of effort that goes inside of it is just absolutely ridiculous, right? And so I was like, there is no way I am starting something like this. And so I tried my hardest to see if I could build Qt on existing rendering pipelines. I looked at Angular, I looked at React. I mean, looked at Angular. I knew the capabilities of Angular pretty well. I looked into React. I even looked into Lit. I looked into just about anything I could get my hands on and just tried to see, like, could I build a website with this particular characteristics if I just hook in somehow or whatever, reuse the existing stuff. And in each case, the conclusion was no. Like, the way this needs to render is just fundamentally different from the way everything else renders. And things like asynchronicity has to be a fundamental primitive of the system. It cannot be just an afterthought. And so very reluctantly, actually, I went the direction of like, all right, fine, we are going to have to build a renderer, whether we like it or not, because the existing renderers just are not compatible with this.
I want to see that a lot of things happen like that. Like a lot of things happen like, all right, we have to build this. Like
Yeah.
I remember also that's a similar thing
framework.
with
Like
I
Yeah,
want to
with
do a meta framework.
yeah.
Adam, who built Qwik City, was so against it. Under no circumstance are we making a meta framework. I'm dropping things.
And so I think it was a lot of that, right? A lot of it of like, no, we're not doing this. This is too much work. And then we try to use it and we realize like, no, this is just not going to fly. Like, this is fundamentally a different beast that you just cannot fit into the existing things.
That was the case with Signals as well, no? Because I remember coming to a workshop about Qwik, like this was 9 months ago, and there were no signals. There was nothing.
Yeah, there was no signals, no.
Yeah. So what brought that on?
That was another Manu. All of a sudden, a bunch of exclamation points of like, I have an idea.
We will talk about that. But what was it that we changed it off of? So the DX, right? Qt had a horrible DX. Like, basically, I started from this world of, hey, let's figure out how to get the best possible performance and figure out the DX later. And when you build something yourself, you're always proud of it. And even if in this case, I was looking at Qt, I was like, it's not the best DX. It's not so bad. And then Manu and Anna would be like, oh, this is horrible, man. Like, nobody's going to use this thing. This sucks. And so it took a huge amount of back and forth and discussion and ideas. It's not that I was somehow married to this particular DX. It's just that coming up with a solution to this particular problem, it's just not obvious. Like, in retrospect, everybody looks at the $sign and says like, oh yeah, clearly it's just a $sign, piece of cake, right? No, that was months and months of like hitting our head on different sharp objects and saying like, we can't seem to make progress on this. And there were many times where I'm just like, well, I guess this is it. Like, this is not going to fly. We're giving up. But I'm sure Adam and Manu have their stories here you want to plug in.
Yeah, the biggest thing was finding that balance between like getting this massive performance and also having it very easy to use. And so I think that really has been the story of the entire Qwik development of just like, where is this middle line that we can do both? And that's when Manu, when you introduce, the building everything in Rust and an optimizer, I think that's when it really started like, we don't got to worry about the building performance because, with Rust, it's going to happen immediately. Like, so it was like, we can do all these crazy things with Rust and not worry about the performance of how long it's going to take to, redo the TypeScript and rebuild the JavaScript. Yeah. I think that was kind of like the big aha moment for all of us, of just like, well, actually we could do some really awesome optimizations with Rust, but also have like that DX that we're looking for.
But by the way, if I can jump in, that was what got me into Qwik, because me and Mishko, we talked 2 years ago before you joined, like after you left, before you joined Builder or something like that, and you showed me a demo of this innovative idea, and I saw like the complexity of the developer experience, and I was like, okay, that looks innovative, but I think it's still rough, And after a year, you showed again, we talked, and we showed me again, and I was like, whoa, this is a completely different story. And then I got hooked, on that.
From cute to quick, right? So
if I could help paint a picture, like, how if you've seen the blog posts or the examples of how the Qwik optimizer will take one component and generate like 10 different files off it. In old Qt, you had to write 10 files. You had to put this lister over that file, this file, that, and you'd have to give the URL paths to each one. So it probably goes without saying, or probably obvious, that essentially one of the biggest things that Manu did is write all of that, which I won't spoil, to basically take what low-level the execution of resumability must look like and make it come out of what looks like a React component, what feels like a React component, which is crazy. It had many layers to it, but I don't want to spoil that.
Yeah, I think the biggest, and I think we all know, like, we experience with a lot of frameworks. We in our daily job, I think all the frameworks makers, we try all the frameworks, so we are aware of what others does. And I think the innovation, and it's hard because you need to sell it in simple terms, what Qwik is, and you say performance, right? Or you say DX, right? And I feel like if you make a framework also that is fundamentally very fast, right? You are not inventing anything new. Like, there's already frameworks that they focus only in performance, right? And they are actually very good. There is like XML or something. I never know how to say it. XHTML? I don't know. Or even like you could write your own jQuery stuff just with a minimum amount of JavaScript, right? Or even like Amazon, right? They don't use any framework. They kind of hard code exactly what they need. So you're not making anything new in JavaScript if you're just focusing performance. I think the innovation here is that have both, like to remove a trade-off. And and to remove that trade-off, you cannot do it the way that things are working currently. So the innovation is removing a trade-off. Maybe it's creating a new ones, but it's a big trade-off that developers don't have to take. And I think that's fundamentally the innovation that Qwik brought.
I'm always struggling to like how best to explain Qwik. So maybe we could like take our stabs at it. Adam, Manu, like, how do you explain Qwik?
Yeah, it is difficult. I think normally I come out with the direction of like, well, it's just like React. It's the same DX, because it is a familiar DX to what React is. And, there's millions and millions of React developers that do know how to write good React code. But the difference being that, like, well, actually what it spits out is just HTML. And I think a lot of, developers understand, like, if it's just HTML, that's going to load extremely fast, right? And so it's like, it's all the, the DX of React, but actually what it creates is just straight HTML. And then of the few things that you need is what gets pulled in, right? And then the next question is like, well, there's, the latency of pulling in is like, well, we got that solved too. So like, it's kind of like the initial one is just like, nothing is faster than HTML, right? Like that, and that's kind of where we start, and that's the baseline for us.
But what's interesting when you kind of explain it that way is people are like, oh, it's just HTML. We're like, oh, so it's a static page. And like, well, no, then we magically bring the stuff. Oh, so it's slow when you like first interact. It's like, no, we got that covered, right? And it's like this endless like steps you got to go through. It's like, no, we got this covered. We got that covered. Like, we're with you. But anyways, Manu, I jumped in front of you.
No, I think it's fundamentally is that like DX of frameworks you already know. That will be like something you can have for sure. And then the other one is not difficult. It's just like depends on which point you explain it, right? If you want to explain it like more marketing, it's like instant. performance by default, all these things, right? A way I like to think about it, that I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose a lot of people, but I think it's kind of beautiful how to think about it, is that when you have any it's you can stop me, you can just interrupt me.
Let me stop you then. Wait a minute. Let's stop this. Okay. Let's just do this. How about explaining with visuals a little bit more, like
with a demo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just show
By the
us
way,
how it works.
I think while we're preparing the demo, I think a good point here to emphasize is, like, we talked about, like, the familiarity, right? Like, of, just like what like React and stuff, right? But there's this tension between user experience, where we want the best user experience, and developer experience, that we want like the easiest thing for us developers to do. And most of the time, you guys talk about it a lot, it's not the same thing, right? It's like, you can write minimal code, but then your app will suffer. And to make it faster, you need to manually do a lot of optimizations in order to get to a state where it's almost just like HTML, not really, but almost. And like the aha moment is with Qwik was that, okay, Qwik now make this manual stuff automatic. So you get like performance, by default. And I don't think it's just like a marketing thing. It's like the reality, right? So you get like the first time ever user experience and developer experience go hand to hand, and not like opposite, to each other, right? So
I love one of the last messages by Dom. Performance is the path of less resistance. I think that's like how I like to see it as well. Like, you need to hack it. You are working a company. You need to build something fast. And usually that path of getting something out fast is not the path of having a fast website, right? That's it. That's a reality. And in a lot of frameworks, there is some APIs have some sort of degradation. Like, you try to make it fast, but quickly as the requirements change, if you just want to like ship features, there's a degradation that doesn't happen that strongly in Qwik. And it's not like because it's faster, it's just because of the architecture, how fundamentally different is at the bottom, right? It's not just because it's a bit faster, it's because it's fundamentally different at the very foundational level.
It sounds like it's something you need to write about, Manu. This is
This is
going to
kind
be
of
another
core.
time I'm going to.
I didn't realize in the comments it also mentions. I mean, it basically says like it says noobs won't ruin your performance. I'll say it maybe nicer, like junior developers won't ruin your performance. You can scale up your hiring again. But I kind of like that, because the idea is, I mean, between Qwik and Builder, the idea is like work better, faster together. Don't worry about it. Like more collaborative development, not like, oh, no, refactor it. You need the client component there and the server component there. And no. Just build stuff together. It's going to run fast. Build fast, load fast. Is that the thing we use for Builder? Anyway.
So we would build faster together. That's what our tagline is, Steve. You should
All right, I hear there's a demo.
We have a few different t-shirts.
Yeah. You ready, Manu?
Is it me?
That's
okay,
you.
Okay.
Yeah, you got something. You built something yesterday, no?
Let's see. Yeah. I'm sharing my screen now. Okay. So, well, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is a demo I built. It's super simple, but it's kind of showing Qwik, and as well as a very cool technology that was released in Chrome like very recently. So again, like, even if you don't like or you don't want to use Qwik, I think it's a super cool also demo of some technology that's called view transitions. So in this demo, we have, I don't know if the frame rate is going to be good enough, but we have this like kind of several pictures here. If I interact and I click one of these pictures, there is a nice animation that goes between both of them. So if I go back, I don't know if you guys can see this kind of smoothness of the animation or not.
The smoothness is not there, but it comes through as to what's going on.
Okay. So the cool thing about this is that to start with, this application, if I just check how this application, again, it was built with JavaScript, with Qwik. There's several components. There is a whole Qwik City meta framework that's going to do all the routing. Like this, everything is going on here, right? It's not like I just pasted some HTML. I just built this application. I didn't optimize anything. If I check what's going on here, really the only JavaScript that is downloaded or is actually executed is this one. And let me show it to you, because this piece of JavaScript is just this. Not Qwik itself.
Bigger.
Yeah, bump it up a little bit just for our audience. Yeah.
There we go. That's it. That's the whole thing. There is no even dependencies. There is not even Qwik, like nothing else. So this is not I'm not cheating here. This is literally the only thing that gets downloaded. There is no dependencies. There is not imports. That's it. If we check how this application is built, it's full. It has. Let me see. I'm going to close something around here. There is like routes. There are like a layout with SVGs. You can have interactivity in different places. There is it's not important to see what's going on. Just that it's not completely trivial, right? In fact, there is some animations going on. There is a way to randomize pictures, and it will, But again, like you get this instant interactivity with this like little amount of JavaScript. Any questions for now?
Yeah. So we saw something interesting, which I think this is a thing that at least I get a lot of questions about. I see all these files, right? I see all I click and I see all these files. Wouldn't mean that it will be slow when the user will click in production and all that stuff. And we have this concept of JavaScript streaming, which is like some kind of mind blowing to people, and that's like what enables this like UX and DX together. So you mind explain about what is JavaScript streaming? Like how does it work without like affecting performance?
Yeah, this is a good question. So you see here, right? Before I showed that this little JavaScript was executed. If I interact with this application, I click again, like this is a SPA application. It's like Next.js or Vue. Like it will be, just a SPA framework. Also, you have the MPA. But if I click, you see that there is a lot of more like little pieces of JavaScript that was executed at that moment. But I want you to pay attention that the size, it says service worker. This means that this file was not actually downloaded when you click with it. It was already downloaded and it's served immediately when I interacted. So there is no delay. But how does this work? So in order to demo that, I'm going to open, I'm going to open an incognito window, which should be cache free. And I'm going to open the same page. And let me see.
Instant.
Yeah. So I want to pay attention to this. So first of all, the application, again, this one right here, if I check JavaScript, only this file and a service worker was downloaded or executed. But if we see all the requests, we see that the service worker is initiator, is here, initiator. All these things, it's already kind of downloading some files. It's not executing them. It's not parsing them. They are not part of the, let's say, CPU time. It's just downloading asynchronously, because Qwik is built around the idea that we know which kind of interactivity can happen in this website. So we can start prefetching these pieces of interactivity, not executing it, but prefetching it. So when I click one of these pages, it doesn't have to download it. It's already downloaded. So you have also instant. And as you go and you interact with the application, you always have instant interactivity for the next action, and the framework will keep getting the next actions like a buffer, like a movie, right? If you wanted to, I think it's interesting because one way to think about this is that in the old days where maybe you have to download a movie, right? And if the movie was very big, you will have to wait a long time to watch the movie, right? You will have to wait for it to download, and then you will start watching the movie. But that days are gone, right? It doesn't matter if the YouTube video is 1 hour or 20 seconds, right? You can start immediately watching the video. And I think kind of the same idea applies to Qwik. It doesn't matter how complex your application is. It doesn't matter if you have 1 million components, right? You're not interacting with 1 million components at the same time. So Qwik, but without doing any sort of limitation, without doing any work by the developer, Qwik is handling all these things. And the outcome of it is that you can literally have like 1 gigabyte of JavaScript, like a huge application, and you don't do any optimization, and still the application is extremely fast. And is the outcome, right, of this architecture. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think one thing worth addressing maybe is the big difference between an application and a video is that you have a linear path in a video and you have infinite many paths you can take in an application. So maybe share how Qwik kind of does its speculative prefetching to kind of anticipate the path you're going to go down and stream that in a smart way.
It's not a bit what I show here, or you mean like when I get to a next page, to a next...
Yeah, I guess you showed it, so maybe it's worth even just doing the speaking to it in the abstract. Basically, that idea that maybe if there is, maybe you did kind of show it like by visiting the next page, which has new links, those will prefetch, taking things like visibility into account and a future like analytics into account. Basically, being smart about what you might use next and loading that as a buffer that can go in n different dimensions, but still kind of truly behave just like that streaming video, even though the video only has kind of 1 path through it.
I think you have had a great metaphor for it, which was a quest, right? Like a quest, where
like a path opens up, right? A path opens up every time you kind of interact with a new page, and then you have this path that opens up, and it's like a tree, and then you can kind of go to different places, and that opens up a new path of the JavaScript files you need.
We could probably visualize that somewhere, how like the tree leaves kind of unfold as you go, and based on the branches you take, it'll then kind of prefetch the next potential directions. I
know you had that metaphor also with a tree that lights up. Remember the Christmas tree that only parts light up?
Yeah.
You could kind of explain it that way.
I think what happens under the hood, or a nice way to compare with the system architecture, is that in any other framework, you have a single root. You have 1 root, and you know this root, right? It's your app component, or it's your like root HTML components. Like you have 1 component in your application that is your root. And there are some architecture like Astro or that tries to kind of split this, right? So now you have like several roots, but you still have to see it has these trees. Like instead of having a 1 big tree, now you have like a lot of smaller trees, but it's still fundamentally the same idea. You have several root components and then from there everything lights up. And I think Qwik is more about the roots are not components. The roots are the events. So if you have an application without any events, and I can actually show it here. I mean, let me. If actually it's going to be maybe complicated for this app, but if I have, and maybe show it here, maybe playground. Like if you have an application that doesn't have any events, then this application doesn't have any JavaScript. And as you add events, those becomes like the roots of your application. And
Manu, can you make the font bigger?
Yeah. Maybe like this. I don't know if you can see. This application is very simple, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm just going to add an event here. And what is going on is that just by adding an event is what's going to cause to put some alert. Hello. Just by adding some event, it's going to cause a serialization of a click handler, and when you actually interact with it, that's the JavaScript that gets executed. This component is never run, right? If you actually try to put some console log here, let's say component, right? We see that there is a console log that happens in the server. Let's see here SSR in this button here, component. I don't know if you can see.
Yep.
I cannot make it bigger. It's going to be a bit tough. But if I interact with this icon, with this button, we can get the alert here without ever running this code again in the browser. And this is almost impossible to pull off in any framework because the components are the roots. So if you want to get to If you want to get to an event, you have to go through the components. In order to skip the components, you have to go straight to the event, right? And that's architecturally the big difference.
Yeah,
And I think, I'm sorry to cut you off, Michko.
go.
I think the best way to kind of understand this is maybe by some folks that have built something real with it and not just demos. So I think maybe we should move on a little bit for the sake of our viewers and everyone. And Shai, do you want to take this over and introduce our next guest?
Yeah.
Where's the script? Wait a minute. Where's the script? No.
Yeah. What do I say here? No. We have Antoine Pere from Rosa B company who will introduce the company. But basically, Antoine is welcome. I think I know you also from the Angular, application that you built, and you guys started with Qwik pretty early on, right? Before this whole new developer experience and improvements and all that started. So we'd love to hear from you about what is your company doing, the application, what were your needs, what was the let's say performance or developer experience before you started working with Qwik, and how is it today or after
Sorry, I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to say 2 sentences. I met Antoine last May, over a year ago, right? Was it a year ago? It's like a year ago, last May. And he's like, I want to use Qwik. And I'm like, right, this is so not ready. I don't believe you, but sure, I'll entertain you. And next thing I know, he's building stuff with it. And I'm like, okay. But anyways, do take over, Antoine.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm a co-founder and the CEO of Rosa, and Rosa is a not-for-profit from Belgium. And the vision that we have is that you want to build an application for patients to manage their health directly on their smartphone. Today, Rosa is an online booking platform close to what ZocDoc is in the US or what Doctolib is in France. And so you have that platform on which you can go to find, search, and book health professionals. And so you go on that platform and you will type oh, I want to find a PT in that city, so a physiotherapist in Brussels. The way patients discover Rosa is by opening their web browser, going to search engines such as Google or Bing, and they will type GP in Brussels, and then Rosa hopes to be on top of the list. So we want to score high on SEO. And so we had the first version of the product, which was built with Angular, and we struggled to kind of reach great core web vitals. And then there was we tried different tricks, etc. And at some point, I kind of discovered Qwik. It was called Qt back then. It was like, that is exactly what I want. And so I followed Qwik for quite some time. And then we took a call together with Mishko, and I said that I want to use Qwik. And then we actually started the development back in summer last year. And in the end, we shipped our first production app in October. So just about the time where Qwik hit the beta mark. And today we have two applications in production that are using Qwik. And in the first time, it was a bit kind of a bumpy road because when we started, Qwik City was not even a thing, and so we had to kind of figure things out, etc. But when I look back, and especially in the last few weeks and months, we clearly see that the framework matured and the entire system around Qwik matured. And so you see that a huge effort has been put into the docs, that there are community plugins that appeared. For example, we use NX to manage our code base. And so the fact that we now have a Qwik NX plugin is a game changer for us. And these are just 2 examples. Like Manu said before in this live stream, in the past you had to pick one out of top-notch performance where you optimize everything, or having a great DX. And so you really had that trade-off where you could not have both an amazing DX and great performance. and Qwik solves that issue. And in the end, if I have to say like, what is the unique value of Qwik? And to me, it's like you do have that perfect performance without any effort. So you don't have to invest and do all the hard work, because Qwik does it for you. And then you got that from day one, and you still got it 6 months later or 1 year later. And I can say that because we have been in production with Qwik for the last 6 months. And so the performance that we had the very first day, we still have it today. Now, if we look at actual numbers, so I just had a couple of numbers to share with you when it boils down to workflow vitals. So the numbers I'm going to share are were measured on a fast 3G connection, and they compare the app that we had before with the new app, because we had a V1 of Rosa.be that was built in a framework, and then we have the V2 that is built in Qwik. And so if you look at the first contentful paint, we went from 8-ish seconds to just under 700 milliseconds. So if you compare these numbers, it's like it's a 10x improvement. It's like mind blowing, and it's not a 10x improvement with amount of engineering efforts. It's like you just got it for free. If you look at the time to interactive, it went from 9-ish seconds to 700 milliseconds again. Crazy improvement. Then you can compare the amount of JavaScript that hits the wire. It goes from 6 megabytes to 800 total, including images and everything. And so you clearly see that huge improvement.
Anthony,
and then
Anthony, can I say just one thing? Because I can imagine a lot of people might be thinking, well, you must be doing something wrong, right? If it's taking like 9 seconds, you must be doing something wrong. And it's kind of the point. I think it's exactly. It's kind of the point. You cannot do that bot thing in Qwik, right? Because we always see this like, you can make it fast in other framework. Yes, that's not the point, right? Just wanted to say that because I kind of feel it inside.
Yeah. So you can do that with other frameworks, and we had an example at Rosa where we built a marketing website, and we basically server-side rendered or generate everything and just ship the rendered HTML, and then we kind of sprinkled a bit of JavaScript to have just the right interactivity that we wanted. So it's close to what Steve has described earlier. It's like, hey, you can achieve great, I would say, core web vitals or user experience, but then the effort you have to put in there is just too crazy. It's insane. It's not scalable. And on the other hand, if you use Qwik, you get that for free, no engineering effort, and it does scale. And that's the amazing part. In terms of results, we clearly saw like an improvement on in SEO. And maybe to wrap up, I'd like to share a story. So last week, my co-founder and CEO was at a meeting at a hospital pitching Rosa. And then at some point, he needs to do a demo. And so you always pray the demo gods, right, when you perform such a live demo. And it was in a hospital which was far away from big cities, where the cell network is really bad. And then you're within, that meeting room with those thick concrete walls, and so the signal is even weaker. And you're like inside of that room, praying the demo gods that everything goes smoothly. And then Seb starts the demo, and it is just crisp. It is the app loads instantly. It is instantly interactive. All the people around who were at that meeting around the table were just blown away. Okay, up to a point where someone asked, "Hey, wait a minute, is that pre-recorded, or are you faking it, or is that real? Like, are you actually performing a live demo?" And it's like, yeah, try it out. And then they can take their phone out of the pocket, and they would just, we usually wait for a couple of seconds before an actual app or website is loaded, and yet another couple of seconds before we can interact with web applications and websites. And so that says it all to me. It's like you got that great DX and you got that amazing user experience, actual user will notice, and it's just amazing. So congrats to the entire team, and thank you for building Qwik.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
and
thank
you,
you.
Antoine,
Very well
for
said.
taking
Awesome.
a chance on us back in the day when you had to be a little crazy to take a chance on us.
And
Don't
we
have
have
to
say
also-
that too loud.
Now it's 1.0. Now
If you
no-
got Qwik,
no chance now. Now it's good.
well, also if you got Qwik working back before beta, you have a good engineering team. Like when you're talking about like the original application, maybe didn't do some things right. It takes a pretty talented engineer to get a completely new and undocumented framework. Like you had to be going to the source code to learn how things work. So amazing work. Incredible.
That's so cool. So I think at this point we want to invite another guest on and tell his story as well. So let's welcome Tobias. Let's assume I'm saying it right. This time he's going to tell me if I said it right.
Tobias.
Hey.
Thank you very much, Antoine,
Tobias
for being
Zimmerman.
with us.
And thank you, Antoine.
Hey, Tobias, you're
welcome.
muted.
Yes. Oh.
What
Even
a-
with
This
all
one
those
practice,
Zoom years
this one
experience.
This is like so many like practice
yeah,
this
you
like 10
said my
times
name right.
before event.
Yeah, it's
Yes, I
always
did.
like this. Always muted in meetings. So my name is Tobias. I'm from Berlin, Germany, and working for Sporttime. This is even harder than saying Tobias with TH. And yeah, I'm working there for a decade, over a decade now. We are doing e-commerce, focused on B2B, B2G even. This means business to government, if anyone didn't hear it before.
I
And
asked
yeah,
the question, I remember that. I was like, what is B2G? I remember asking that.
it's business to government, institutional sport, and all these beautiful people who actually buy products for children and making sports and fun everywhere. And also other institutions like the army or something else, because everyone has to make some sports. Yeah, but also check it out. We have 19,000 products, and it's also not closed for B2C. So, and I think for Qwik, actually, yeah, e-commerce and Qwik is just a great fit. We started looking for a framework last year in November. And to let you all know, we are still on the old stack, so PHP jQuery. Woo! It worked for 12 years, and it probably will continue working. But as you already pointed out, there are several challenges we as a developers has to tackle down. And Qwik solves actually problems which shouldn't be there in the first place, I guess. Yeah, we looked into it more because of the resumability. It makes us made us very curious. It already had signals, and the context integration was just looking awesome. It was TypeScript all the way, which was important for us in our development team. We had the faith in Mishko doing it again, so he did it, and it came out great. Coming from a PHP team, we were already sold on the $sign. So, and jQuery, of course, the $sign was always with us, and we have it back again. We have
Power of
don't
$2
have to
sign.
miss
Yeah.
Can I
Um,
say a little thing about? I started programming in PHP. This is one of the first thing I did, and when I check another language and I saw that the variables didn't start with $, I was shocked. Like I all my programming was like $ and variable, and then I found like other languages didn't use $ at the beginning. I was like, how? I was like so shocked. Sorry
Like,
for
how
the
do you know it's a variable? Yeah, exactly.
How do I know?
Yeah, and writing var at the beginning when I also digged into JavaScript, which is ridiculous. But anyway, we have it back now. So since January, we are working on a big proof of concept. And yeah, we had a lot less override issues. You can probably tell on the e-commerce shop with 19,000 products, you have a lot of sites, a lot of components, a lot of things going on, interactivity everywhere you look. So we had with scoped styles, we fixed a lot of issues. When you remember the good old times with ZAS, where you import a million files in one file, and in the end you have one big CSS file, which is just ridiculous if you think about it today. Even with a similar time to first byte, because we were already doing a lot of performance optimization and caching, it felt way faster. The SPA navigation is just for free in the end. We didn't optimize for that, and then we put in the links, and we had a 40% reduction of network traffic, which is just amazing if you think about how less data is going through the wires, especially for us with a lot of shops load balanced. We will probably pay less money in the end, and that's just how it works.
And also, you are a greener company that way. It's like sustainability for the
true.
earth.
Yeah, and for the user in the end, if you're sitting in Deutsche Bahn, where you have the worst internet connections ever, you will just be happy. Like Antoine was telling us, it's really like streaming. You don't have to download everything. It was in benchmarks, we had 6 times faster time to first byte, especially when we raised concurrency. But disclaimer, we not only switched to Qwik, we also removed the database as the data source. So, but of course, Qwik will play a role into it, especially if you do SPA. It was just faster. It just not feels faster. It's overall faster. Our team was able to ship features faster as well. So it doesn't only scale in terms of performance and does all these fancy stuff around fetching only the code you need. It's also a good experience. We talked about DX the whole time. We had just fun with Qwik, and it scaled. And when people were not in the review on Fridays and they missed one and came back in the next week, they were just mind blown away, because we implemented so much more in the next week. So we were also surprised that we hit the deadline in 3 months, building a product list, a product detail, and a whole cart where you can order stuff. So it was just ridiculous. Local development for us PHP guys, it was just, what? You can do something like that? So you don't have to set up any big containers or something. You can just use the Vite environment, and everyone who knows Vite, it's just fast. The server starts fast. The hot reload is blazing fast. It's crazy.
I think like Vite is aligned with Qwik in the sense of Vite is fast because it doesn't bundle everything, right? It's also the same philosophy, is that Vite is fast not because they made something that is like a million times faster. It's because the algorithm is fundamentally faster, right? It doesn't have to bundle everything to execute. And I think in that same, I remember back in the days where we even have Vite integration. You have to use Qwik. I don't even remember how, like roll up manually. I think in that sense, I saw, Vite is aligned with this and with Qwik.
Exactly, and it's just fun. When we start working with it, we can't believe that we do yarn dev or npm dev or whatever you like, and it's just there. Our Lighthouse stacks were also improving a lot. Now we call it Greenhouse. The old product list was around 57 points in average for the pages I tested, and we came out with 97. Of course, a small disclaimer, all the tracking codes are still missing, but I think Builder.io has Partytown also. So you will be, there will be no problem. After my holiday, I will start putting all these beautiful tag manager tags in, and we will see if it still stays in the 90s. And I think the only part which is, at least for a big setup like this, will be excessive DOM size and all these depth of course, we've written a lot of styles ourselves, so we don't have a problem of too many children, but we always get to the point where the DOM size is way over 1,500. So let's see how we fix that. We, of course, want to keep all the products into the list because SEO reasons, but we can probably work around it. I think it's actually not a good thing what Google is doing there, because Manu, for example, pointed out there's something like content visibility. So the performance overall and the main thread is not really getting blown up so much, but it's still the message because they just count elements. Since April, we started to doing a delta because we are still having a lot of stuff to do. We have a customer logging to do. We need some more CMS pages, like static pages. They are not that static for us. We have kind of a similar solution to Builder.io.
I think we have.
also might check it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And we need localization because we are international. So we start with a B2C shop soon and then go with all our shops on Qwik, I hope, at least. And we are very satisfied. Qwik has so many tools. It's really like Antoine and everyone else was saying, you feel like home. It's not that far away from other frameworks, but it does a lot of stuff under the hood, which is hard to explain. You have to really try it out. And I think maintaining the product to a point, especially a shop, imagine how much features we throw on this thing over the last 12 years. It's really big code base. And I think if it would be Qwik back in the days, we would maybe not have to move away because it just scales with you. You can do any great stuff because even the Qwik app rendered by a Qwik app is resumable, so it will be easy to do micro frontends. And I just don't know what you guys come up next with if you go into this direction, because you can make it also a possibility in the framework itself at some point.
Wait, you're stealing all of our ideas for the roadmap.
Yeah, whoa. Don't tell him it off, Tobias. Wait.
Okay, so but in the end, we will just you will just solve the issues we have with HTML today. And actually Qwik is just outputting what the browsers need, and that's what we are looking for. So I'm very honored to speak here today, and I really want to say
thank you for coming.
It's just great.
No, thank you, Tobias.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
Great, yeah.
I want to say that thank you for coming, but also thank you for all the feedback. Thanks to Tobias, we actually, it was kind of one of the persons where we built server dollar for, not like based on some of the feedbacks he got, like on the things he had to solve. And I think it's also very exciting that the rate of growing Qwik is going to it's already changed, like since beta, I will say, because of the amount of feedback, right? Like before we kind of have to build a bit of on isolated, and now the amount of feedback, all these things from Tobias, from Antoine, from all the community, is really leading to build like solution that solve the real problems. So just thank you very much for that, no, and engaging in all these conversations, and everyone really like in the community that wants to join. Like it's Tobias just show up there and say like, hi, like we are doing this. So exactly the same, right? Just join, say hi to us, and if you contribute, and even if it's just with ideas and thoughts and feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I think you pointed out that we really haven't hit on is how we use Vite, right? Like that was by no mistake that we wanted to make sure that we didn't build our own bundler, or our own way to do a repo, or our own way to have plugins. It was absolutely, we want to use existing tool sets because Vite is an amazing community, and so what we built with like the optimizer was to make sure that we can utilize all these awesome tools, because of whatever after Vite, hopefully nothing, I don't know. We make sure that we're not tied to one specific build tooling. So I'm glad that it's working great for you guys. It sounds awesome. So happy that it's working out.
Yeah. Also, the adaptive structure is really it just presents how much you want to make it generic. You can actually deploy the same app in 25 ways if you want to, and that's also interesting for everyone in DevOps, and you can do a lot of stuff and doing also performance optimization in this area. It's great.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And thank you, Adam, for creating the adapters for all the integration. Thank you again, Tobias. And it's a good, like what Manu said about the community, a good, segue to talk about a little bit about the community around this technology. Every technology, you need, more than, the core team and the people who are constantly working on making the technology the best. You need an entire community behind it to give feedback and to share ideas and to contribute to the code and to build the entire ecosystem around the technology. And that's how you get more adoption and more people helping out. So I think we're all proud of this wonderful community that we have on Discord and globally. And I remember, speaking with Mishko before I joined, and I was blown away by the technology, and I was like going, into the community and meeting. You will hear from these two. So first of all,
Yeah, but you were supposed to introduce them first. Like that was supposed to be your segue, Shai. Because here they are.
Yeah. I wanted. So we have Giorgio and Sebastian here. I will introduce them in a bit, but I just want to say that the important part about any technology, and I remember like talking with Mishko and saying, I've been like joining frameworks for a lot of years now, and I remember going into JavaScript, and one of the first framework that I got into as a noob, not knowing anything, was a very, very hostile place. Like every question that I asked was like, oh, that's such a noob question or stuff like that. And I remember like the feeling that I had and thinking to myself like, I don't want to ever experience that anymore, right? So over the years, started building the community, and when I was blown away from the technology that Mishko showed me, we talked and we said like, okay, we need to build a very friendly community around this technology. So because this technology needs to get out to the world and get adopted. And fortunately, we had such a great group of people joining in the community and helping out and spreading the word and building community projects. And so before I introduce two of our most special community members, I would like to give a quick shout out to a bunch of people from the community who we couldn't invite everyone, and sorry if I'm forgetting anyone, but quick shout out to Greg Ederer and Roman Zanatin and Glenn Becker and Dimitri Stepanenko and Sai Srika Dumpeti and Ken Parsons and Patrick JS and Marcus Mook and Ayub Balwan and many, many, many more. I want to give a big shout out to all these people and more who are helping and creating communities all over the world. So we're really proud of you. And so we have two groups. We have the Qwik community leaders. So if you're interested in opening up a meetup in your town and spread the word, okay, talk to us. Feel free to talk to us, and we'll get you into the program. And we have another special group that we built called the Qwik Heroes, which are the most helpful and contributing and personally, I think it's the friendliest and nicest group of people that I ever met. And we wanted to invite two of these Qwik heroes to share your story. So we'll start with Sebastian. So Sebastian Rapport, he we know him as Nate Sebas, right? It's like Sebastian backwards, right? So he was super friendly, help Discord and chatting and stuff like that. And only when I got to know him, I got to know that he's a true OG in the programming world like, and you will share, like, where you started, but he's a guy who's been in a lot of places, a lot of,
Been around the block, what you call.
yeah, been around the block, developer, C-level, like doing lots and lots and lots of cool stuff. So I would love to hear from you, Sebastian. How you got into Qwik, maybe share a bit of your experience, and also, like, how do you feel, in this community, like what, like, made you stick, let's say.
Well, thanks for that introduction. And you really summed it up about the community. It's just a really special community, the chemistry here. But yeah, from where I started way back, I was writing 6502 assembly code, found myself at Apple in the mid 80s. And, so I've seen a lot of technologies come and go, some being transformative, others not, and a lot of communities as well. So it's been an interesting journey. And so I've always got my eye out for the things that are not just incremental, but are literally transformative. And so this journey with Qwik started when I was migrating a PWA, a React PWA, to Next.js. And a good friend of mine, who I respect a lot as a technologist and just an amazing person, he goes, I don't know if I should share this with you. It's good. You've just started this effort. And, little did I know clicking the play button on those videos was going to completely hijack my professional life. And I can no longer spell Qwik in any email. Everything's QWIK. But after
for all of us.
Misko's presentation and looking through some things, I kind of had this epiphany, and it just made such sense as this significant step forward. From the human experience to architecturally, this concept from kind of streaming just in time, or it just worked. And I found myself at a cabin up near Mount Bachelor with a family, and it's the middle of the night. It's like 2 or 3 a.m. I'm sitting there working on Qwik. And I'm pulling it. The docs weren't quite there yet, and I'm pulling up the source code, and I'm kind of stuck on some debugging stuff. And it's like, so I go out to Discord and I asked a question there, and this guy, Manu, pops up. No idea who Manu is, And it's like really helpful. And then the issue, and he goes, I want to do a quick screen share, and do a video. And it's like, well, I'm in this cabin, and it's like a loft and people are sleeping. I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. So, went away, and I'm off on my little journey. And over the next few days, I'm seeing Manu's name just popping up everywhere. It's like, who's this Manu guy? And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like one of the primary of the group of 3 guys behind this, and the overall community being rich. But I think I wanted to share that story because it was so representative of the culture and the chemistry of this community, just being warm, inviting, kind of things you touched on, Shai, generous with time, interested. And I found myself kind of with this new group of people that I find they're brilliant, they're friendly, they're warm, they're kind. And that's one of the most important parts, along with technologies, to make them successful. And, people are talking about community, that's really, really something really important here. So, I could go into the details. I think the other guys ahead of me talked about what's awesome about it, time, with code, but literally it's fun, it performs well, and the community is everything. And I really got to acknowledge a few people along the way, like, Glenn Becker showed me how to build the project to be able to contribute to it. And, I'm always impressed, like Ken out there, he's always kind of ahead of the curve, trying things and suggesting things. We'll debate architecture and, really solid. So it's really an amazing team of people, amazing chemistry. So, and
also worth mentioning that Ken is the guy that kind of came up with the AI docs thing, right, Manu?
Indeed, brilliant guy.
Yeah, definitely. It blew our minds with this project, and we're like, yeah,
he's always ahead of the curve. And the whole team here, it's from Mishko, Adam, Manu, Steve, everyone, Shai is receptive to the conversation. There's no hard line. It's like, that's interesting, and it gets the discussion. It's really the collective group of everybody that's making Qwik what it is. So that's my thoughts on it.
Well, thank you, man.
Wow.
We
Thank
love
you
you.
very much, Sebastian, and we super appreciate. Sebastian actually contributed a core feature to the Qwik core use ID, and that was also a fun experience collaborating with the other Qwik heroes and other people from the community. So thank you very much for all that you do, all your ideas and helpful advice and feedback. So thank you very much, Sebastian. And now I want to introduce our next guest. So when short after I think I joined, we had this, like, you remember the weekly Qwik meetings on a round, and we had like this calendar link, and we used to talk just us, and all of a sudden like people showed up because it was a public link, and one of those people were Giorgio, who I met there on this like weekly community talks. And since the beginning, Giorgio is the not one of the nicest people I ever met in my life, and also always volunteering, always taking up more challenges, contributing code. He built like the first e-commerce with Vendur, like e-commerce implementation of Qwik. Every task that anyone needs help with, he always jump in and help. So it was really important for us to have you here and to share your experience because we love you, Giorgio. So yeah, take the stage.
I'm so proud to be here, and thanks for having me. Basically, I'm a public speaker, and I met Misko last summer in Berlin, and during a conference, and he gave me a personal demo about Qwik. So I was blown away by the new mental model of Qwik, and I decided to collaborate with in the project to create use cases and as an early adopter, And I think it's really cool to be part of this project because you guys are so kind, all of you, and basically I like to surprise the audience like a magician. So when I gave a talk about Qwik, all the audience is like, "Wow, that's amazing!" So I like that feeling. So for me, it's so fun to give a talk about Qwik. And yeah, as Shai mentioned, I create an e-commerce on top of Qwik, and on top of Avenger, there is a headless e-commerce. There are a lot of storefront based on other different framework, but the Qwik one, play another sport, let me say. So it's a different sport with Qwik. It's so fast, so easy to use, and also for the developer, it's easy to develop with Qwik because you do some change, and then boom, you have in your browser the application updated. So it's really a fun work with Qwik. So thanks for all your job. And I think the community is really engaging and welcoming, and the community is another API, let me say, a relationship API. It's not a code, something that you can achieve with code, but I think it's difficult to have a community better than this one. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Giorgio is a
very much.
doer. It's someone who does things. Like it's like
Yep.
no bullshit. It's like I do it. I don't know how.
Just look
I
at the
do it.
commits at Qwik. It's like Giorgio all over
Yeah,
there.
amazing.
And
Gets it done
Jojo
right
and
away.
Roman did. Completely.
Yeah.
We love you, Giorgio and Sebastian.
you,
Thank you very
Giorgio.
much for joining
Thank you
us.
guys for
and
coming.
Thank
for
you
the
for
great
having
work
me.
that you guys do.
I want to just very quick. I want to say something about in general about joining an open source community. Doesn't have to be Qwik. It's I'll always I join like a lot of things and make contributes PRs to any project. Like every single time I made let's say, a PR to Vite, you end up making personal relationships, right? Like that's also part of it. So even like you make a PR, but you can also engage. You can also, try to reach that person in Discord. Say like, hey, I did this. What do you think? And it's, and in general, like I will say that many communities that's it, and they become friends. Maybe at some point, you meet with this person, and that's a big part of all of this, right? It's not only the code. It's what Giorgio said. Is this relationships API? I don't know. It's beautiful, and it happens quick. It's built probably any community. Just do it, and just talk to people if you like it. Otherwise, just made a PR, But you want to get in the next level, you
No.
can engage with people.
But relationship API, I love that. That's just like, it's an amazing phrase. I really got it.
Yeah, and we take inspiration in our community building from such great communities that are already existing. And I'm looking at the Angular community, which is one of the best communities ever created. Really like a one big family. So I take a lot of we take a lot of inspiration from that. And now we're beginning to become this like global phenomena, right? We have like, I made a list, like we have meetups opening up, and first meetup already happened in France, in the Netherlands, in England,
London,
in the US, of course, Israel, Portugal, Taiwan, Hungary, and we have many more coming. So
I think Steve is brushing his teeth. I think that's why he went offline.
Yeah, no, that's flossing, right? No.
And also we have the first in-person Qwik conference coming up in November, which is Qwik Poland. So all of you or Europeans that you want to meet, the core team and the rest of the Qwik community, come join us. Great organizers, and great conference to be in.
Can I add?
So we'll see you there.
I want to add to it that
only if it's a joke, Mishko. Only if it's a joke, a dad joke.
It's not a dad joke, but I just wanted to encourage people to submit onto the CFP and talk about their cool projects, talk about their aha moments, talk about how they find things different, etc. All of these. You may think it's just personal to you, but I think sharing these stories with the world is actually useful.
Yep. I second that. Great. Okay, great note to end. This part and go to the what's next, right, on the roadmap after V1.
Well, we're done, right? Like that's how it works. You release one and you're done.
Yeah, we're going home. That's it. Wash your hands and go home. Yeah.
I remember at one point I was having dinner with my family, and my dad asks, so when are you going to be done with, this happened to be during Angular time. He's like, when is Angular going to be finished? It's like, that's not how software works. Things are never done. There's always ideas. There's always different places where you can go with this thing. So let's talk about what is the next cool things should I just go, or Manu, Adam, do you want to jump in? I don't want to take your thunder.
I want to say quickly that Adam and me always have the joke that this is the last commit. This is something like, this is a joke we have. This is the last commit.
This is the last fix we need to do. We're done. There's always more after this commit.
So one of the things I think we have shown is the migration strategy of Qwik React. And I think it would be awesome to have such migration strategies for other frameworks. It's not just necessarily a migration strategy, but also a way to just take your existing application and add lazy island hydration. Like if you think about it, what Qwik React is it brings lazy island hydration to your Qwik application, right, out of the box. Do you guys want to jump in and talk about it more, or should we just run through the list?
I can say that, like all the migration strategies, it goes from that, like different components in different frameworks, which brings all the ecosystem of these frameworks, right? Yeah, now you don't only have native Qwik libraries, you have all these React. I think also like docs about the migration and different strategies that we kind of been not only ourselves proving, but getting from the community, from people like Antoine, and that they actually did it, right? And we can start to document it and kind of pack it. I think in general, it's going to be, or for me, my biggest goal is ecosystem. Like I have this like goal, like by the end of this year, we have everything. Yes. So it's the response is yes, basically. Is that's where with X? Yes. So it's
Until
going
you
to
come
be
up
only
with
like-
another crazy idea, Mano, right?
But
Well, that's
it's
a given.
worth
That'll still be worked
mentioning.
on.
It's worth mentioning because people, coming to a new framework, always ask themselves like, okay, but is it ready? Do we have like anything,
Yes.
ready? So just like mentioned before, we have like, community plugins for a lot of things for NX, for Qwik V1, we have for Storybook, we have for like lots and lots of integration that you already, and we have like companies, as you saw, real companies that need this stuff, right? And so there's a whole thing. So if you think about the community plugin that you need help with, jump on Discord, and we'll help you out in building your ecosystem to make Manu happy in the end of the year.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Manu
So, yeah.
loves integrations with the ecosystem, for rightfully so. Like this is a good thing. And I do have to say that for a framework that's just reached version 1, the list of integrations we have is actually kind of impressive. And
is.
I have no doubt that the list is only going to get longer over time. And so good things are going to happen in that area.
Prisma,
Yeah.
Supabase, Auth, Cypress, Vitesse, everything.
And
Build
really,
it.
Yeah,
has
already. We have it
a lot
already.
with the decisions of like what does Qwik do and does not do. It goes back to like how we integrate with Vite well, but we didn't like reinvent anything. It's the same thing. It's like we're using JSX. We're just using normal ESM modules, things like that, and so like that allows us to integrate pretty quickly. We're not having to reinvent the world.
And may I say one last thing? I think that because even though under the hood is very different, the authoring of components it's very similar. Tools or APIs designed for other frameworks very naturally fit with Qwik, because the way you actually author things are very similar. So these libraries are built around the same authoring patterns, like component ways, like routes. All these things naturally fit very well. So like the integrations really like it's a matter of work and a matter of getting all these things straight and writing documentation, but it's coming fast.
So this is probably the thing that it's closest to my heart, but I think that I really, really want is personalization. I think personalization is like the ultimate goal, that people are trying to do, and very few people are actually succeeding in this. Because personalization and think of it on a level of like Amazon, where you navigate to a website and you have personalized output showing you what's in your shopping cart, where you left off shopping, what you might be interested in next, etc. That kind of level of personalization is extremely difficult to do because you have to generate the whole page for every single request. Every single a user request is a different user and you can't share. So personalization is hard. And the thing I think where Qwik has an advantage is you could get through personalization through micro frontends. And one of the big things we would like to solve is out of order streaming. Those two are kind of very dear to my heart and things I've been pushing for, very hard. But, for version 1, we had other priorities we had to get to. But I think adding the out of order streaming and micro frontend service capability, which basically means that different portions of the page can be cached at different level, which really helps with the personalization story. I think is one of the big things that we're going to focus on, going in the future. And I think it's really going to enable people to build sites like never before. Like my goal is that you should be able to build Amazon level personalization without Amazon level resources. One or two people building a website should be able to pull off Amazon level personalization on the site. And I think once we pull that off, I think it's going to be kind of revolutionary.
Agree.
I figured somebody's going to jump in and add something to it, but yeah, we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, no, I think we have a unique, the fact that we serialize things. Right now we are leveraging all this serialization in the client to make the client faster. I think all this like resumability and this architecture can be leveraged right now for the server. We are not doing it, right? In every SSR is like from the root, right? And I think we can leverage all these things for like massively improving SSR in a ways that it just cannot be done in different frameworks.
I think Qwik has an interesting property, right? That the HTML is essentially the whole app described for you. It's either the whole app in the sense that the data is there, or it's whole app in the sense that there are URLs which tell you where to fetch the remaining pieces of the application. But in essence, the HTML is fully descriptive information of your application. And I think this is what makes it nice for micro frontends, is because now you can concatenate your applications together just by string concatenation, which is the cheapest way of putting things together. And string concatenation is not really an option when you have a hydration world. You have to have frameworks that are involved, code that needs to run, things that probably have to be compiled together, etc. Things just get complicated. And so because Qwik has this property, I think it is something we should lean on and see which particular directions we can take this, and just basically build things that would be otherwise extremely difficult to do without this technology. So I'm kind of super excited about where we can take this in the future.
Can I add one tiny detail? We used a lot of big words, but just if I can pare it down. Microfrontend just means deploy separate parts of your application separately. So it's really easy. If you just want to change a line of text on the about page, you could deploy that without worrying your entire application needs to build and deploy. If anybody's used microservices on the back end or just using serverless functions, it's a really nice way to deploy and manage applications, especially at scale, which is where Qwik shines the most. So we want the DX to be so simple. Make a change, deploy the change. We have granularity of the reusability, granularity of deployment, all that stuff. I think is exciting stuff to come.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we love developers. And so dev tools, I think, is the next big thing that needs to happen. And actually, we already have some people in the community who raise their hands and say, hey, we wanted to build that. So apparently that they're working on that. So super excited about that. Manu, do you want to talk about DX for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean the DX, right? Like the developer tools is a big part of the DX, right? I think like one of the things we've been like inspired for DX is Rust in some aspects, right? It's this complicated, or not complicated, but it has this like advanced things. It's kind of hard to reason about, and they kind of show this path where they get rid of these complicated things by having extremely good error messages, extremely good like documentation about what to solve immediately the problem you have. And I think the kind of the trade-offs that Qwik has right now in terms of like what things that you need to take into account, like things need to be serializable. We will keep like improving the DX around how to unlock people, right? To never get to the point where someone hits one issue and it's like, I don't know what to do next, right? And I think that's going to be also part of the DX to keep improving. I think it's already very good, but we can always keep improving there. And the other thing that comes to my mind is leveraging the dollar even more. Like we have the server
Talking
dollar,
like a true investor.
leveraging the money.
The money.
But we have something very cool, about worker dollar, for example, coming up, which allows to. Right now we have server dollar, right? So you have server dollar. Automatically, what you put there is executes in the server. Exactly the same thing. Worker dollar, it will execute in a web worker. So you can write like trivially like applications doing multi-threading in JavaScript in a way that is like just ridiculous. Like I think like actually Swift from Apple, they has similar patterns where you can have a closures and execute like that kind of like cool, easy to do like multi-threading working in Qwik. And the amazing thing is that this is all implemented in userland. What I mean is that we don't have to hack into the core of Qwik to make it work. It's implemented as a third-party library that leverages the dollar syntax and uses Vite architecture for generating worker code. So just very exciting, and more things like this, like I can think of. I don't know if you guys have something more.
I was just going to add to that. I think that speaks to like kind of the low-level primitives that Qwik itself, Qwik core has, is that it allows something like worker dollar and even server dollar to be created. Where we're not hacking some crazy worker way of doing something inside the framework, but rather it's like, oh, let's just add this little wrapper to what's already available from Qwik.
Yeah.
It's kind of, sorry.
No, go.
I was just going to say, like, it's interesting because the dollar sign is really the secret innovation of Qwik. It is the thing that makes everything else possible. And yet it is the thing that is when you explain to people, they're like, okay, that's kind of cute, whatever. But then you see all this stuff that becomes possible because of this, and you're like, oh, and yet, it's just not obvious that it is the thing, and yet it does so many magical things for us. So if there is one amazing innovation that Qwik has done, it is really the $, because it really enables just about everything else in Qwik.
And speaking of innovation, I think it's worth mentioning, that we have this philosophy of, inclusiveness and collaboration, right? Like we, are very passionate about, innovating stuff, but we are, taking inspiration from everyone. We're collaborating with, all the rest of the frameworks. We appreciate all the rest of the frameworks and all of their innovations. And speaking about the future and this trend of everybody is trying to improve the user experience and the developer experience. Like it's a constant battle, right? So it doesn't mean that if Qwik is, going in one route, it doesn't mean that all the rest of the frameworks are stopping what they're doing, right, and not innovating and all that stuff. No, we are all in this JavaScript game together. We're all innovating together, inspiring each other, and that is important because sometimes it's hard to or it's easy to forget that we're one giant JavaScript community, right? That we keep helping each other grow. So that's also important to mention about innovations from everybody around. And without all of them, we wouldn't be where we are now. Wouldn't get the inspiration for these ideas, right? So yeah, just want to say that.
All right, I think that we're coming towards the end of our presentation. So
wait,
yes, Manu.
There is one thing that maybe Adam can talk about. That is the most cool thing. We left it for the end. Left it for the end. So everyone staying in the stream and still we'll hear about this. This is the real.
It's the Apple
metric.
One more thing.
Oh yeah.
One more thing.
But wait, there's more.
One more thing. No, yeah, real user metric optimizations is a current coin term, but
huge optimization.
I mean, because we did talk about the speculative module fetching, where we're able to know what is a user about to use. Let's download that stuff. So if you think of having a massive size dashboard with many, many different entry points, well, how do we know what to prefetch? Do we still prefetch the entire world? And then in what order, right? If we kick off 20 requests, how do we know which is the first one that should be done first? That's where the real user metrics is something that's actually not that far-fetched and is somewhat already inside of the Qwik build tools, is that we can tell which symbols, which scripts were actually the ones that are being used by your actual users today. Let's say you had 1,000 visitors today. You could say that these were actually the actual scripts that were being executed by when the page loaded. So if these are the most important ones, let's make these are the ones, the first ones we prefetch first. Let's download these now. And let's say these other 20 that no one ever uses, well, let's not even bother downloading those. And so basically we're able to customize the bundling, customize what is the app being built with according to how your users are actually using your application. And I think that's something extremely unique to what Qwik can do.
It's literally all the code splitting. It's right now, it's developers going to the code and saying, okay, dynamic import here, dynamic import there. I need to put this code in different module. That's the process, right? Code splitting is manual and requires refactorization. If you want to change how things are code split, you have to refactor it out. Qwik already has bundling, which is completely decoupled from the code, right? It's a configuration thing. We can rebundle the application without a single change in the code. That's something you can already try with a configuration called entry strategy. You can change things and automatically it will change how we bundle code. No change in the code. This is leveraging real metrics of users using the application for real. Then running statistic regressions and finding well, this is the best way to bundle application, period. Right? This is the best way you can bundle the application. And we bundle it that way.
If the user clicked A and they ended up getting C and D, then we're like, well, we see in our stats that it's best just to put them together right now.
Exactly. Without a single change in the code. So even opens a possibility, I think it's amazing. It's in Google, they have this site reliability engineering, right? It's kind of decoupled from engineering. So you have developers building applications, and they have all the teams that, especially for the bigger project, that kind of help to make sure it works great. I think for these, you can even split this. You can have a team, it's a product team, building application, building features as fast as possible. You don't have to worry about anything. And even, the bundling, the optimization is decoupled. It doesn't change anything of the code, which is amazing. Like, you cannot do it without some of the properties. And right now we are just not, is there, but we are not leveraging it.
We're in a default right now, right? We have like a default setting of what it's set. And I think the biggest difference between us and the challenges others have is that, again, there's normally an app.js or a main.js. There's one entry, and it's like, well, how should we break apart this main application? Whereas we start with everything is already broken apart. So now our question is like, well, how do we best optimize it and put them together? And so that's why it's much easier for us with our, core primitives to be able to pull that off.
Right, guys. Mishko wanted to go to Q&A, right? Yes. We have a few questions marked. So what do you say? Shall we pull them up?
I think you're a DJ for the Q&A, right?
Wicka. Let's do it.
DJing.
All right. With no particular order. This one is
I guess it would be a QJ, question jockey, instead of a DJ.
Go for it. We got one. We got one Mishko dad joke that was terrible. Thank you.
All right.
He did it again. Okay.
All right. Who wants to read out the question? Am I going to do this? I'm going to DJ the question. All right. So what does reaching 1.0 mean now for all of you? Is there a time for a break, a massive to-do list that has reignited passions in fixing things, and DX wish lists? So we covered some DX wish lists, but how did it feel, I think, is interesting. And about the break, what do you guys say?
So break.
You guys want to jump in, or should I?
I mean, for me means there is no end, right? We go back to this. It's not never done. I think it's still things that might not work. But I think V1 is about, we are very confident you can build on top of Qwik. We will not break you, right? That's a big thing. It's hard to know. So through all this time, all this feedback, we are very confident that you can start using Qwik, and we will not break you, right? We will not break your application. We will keep fixing things, and we will keep fixing feature. But we get to this point, and there is different ways. We just see it, we feel it. I feel at some point you see that it's very stable, and we are very, very, very happy with the solution that we have, and we have seen it in production working great. So that's one thing for me of when something has become 1.0.
Yeah, and I think that this also allows us to enter kind of a new phase where we've always been connected with the community of what issues that they have, what use cases that they have, but really we can really double down on like where are the struggles that you're having with Qwik. What's the actual use case that is not doing well. So now that we do have the Qwik core working, we've got $ working, we've got like the DX of how we want to have it. It's now really going back of just like, where are your struggles with building a very large application with Qwik, and we can just keep focusing on those features.
Okay, so something that came up here, which I think is interesting, and I don't think we've addressed, is kind of like, I think this is more of a beginner question. Like, is Qwik a framework that is right for like new developers to learn? What do you guys think?
I'm actually trying to teach my children, two older children, how to code, and actually I am using Qwik for that purpose. So I think it's totally possible to start over there. I think the beauty of Qwik is that the DX is just so simple, and it doesn't require any complicated things for you to understand. Like, yes, we brag about like all these amazing capabilities that Qwik has and how we can break things up, etc. But you don't need to know that, right? Like, you don't need to explain that to people. You don't need them to even understand that these things are going under the hood. All you need to focus on is like, hey, you want to add a component or a button or anything, like, just add it like this. You want to add behavior, you do it like this. And the fact that magic happens underneath is amazing, but it is not something you strictly require to know.
I will say also that if you learn how to architect or build an application with Qwik, pretty much all the knowledge is transferable to other frameworks, the same way that they are transferable to Qwik from Qwik to other frameworks, because the way of again, the way of authoring is very much the same idea of components and props and events and so if you know React and you know Vue, like it will not be something like shocks you. In terms of the paradigm of how to build is the same. So I think it could be like something that you'd learn quick and it will make you also a React developer. You will get all these ideas. They are transferable.
Cool. I think that covers that. How about we take this one? So, question. Go ahead,
I'll
Micho.
jump on this one. This is dear to my heart. Yes, you can absolutely do all of this stuff today with Webpack, Module Federation, and so on, but it's not going to be a smooth sailing. So, for example, one of the things about Module Federation is that you have to kind of worry about how things are assembled and built. The beauty of Qwik is that it's really just concatenating HTML, and you can do so in the worker, in the edge worker as you're streaming. So you can go talk to other edge workers and say, oh, you give me the hero image, you give me the product thing. I may or may not download the comment section for this particular product because it's below the fold. I will only download it as you navigate. So there's no constraints that you have to do everything at the beginning or you have to do everything at build time. You are extremely flexible in about how these things are put together. And yes, of course, you can do things from web components and so on, but again, you will be in the world of hydration, and you will be in the world where you have to eagerly download code and execute in order to make the website kind of interactive. So the real value here is that you can get all of these things and you can get them with essentially zero JavaScript to start, and they're all easy to concatenate, easy to put together. So it's just it's not whether something is or isn't possible, it's just the experience is so much simpler. And if you look at the web and you look at how many people have personalizations, because again, to me, this all comes back to personalizations. You will see that Amazon has amazing personalization story. And for the most part, the other commerce websites are pretty limited in terms of the personalization story. And part of it is because the existing technologies just make this difficult to do. And so it's a trade-off of like, how much effort I want to spend on it and how much benefit I will give. And, the amount of effort to put into it seems to be so high that very, very few companies actually do that.
I think like an example for this, one of the companies who started to adopt Qwik had this like they have like lots of shops, like e-commerce for employees, and the lead developer there said that what they wanted and that caught their eye, like with Qwik, was the ability to render all the static parts of the same product page just once. And because Qwik basically take a snapshot into the HTML with all of the event listeners baked in, sort of like the pointers, it's a unique value for Qwik, and you can cache that HTML, right? And just never re-execute it on the server and just execute all the personalized, right? All the changing parts from customer to customer. And they wanted that. They wanted like this unique ability to like think about your app being rendered, like you said, like on multiple edge workers and cached in different parts, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, because you're used to think about just like a mono app, right? And not like broken apart. So this was just an example for the micro frontends plus personalization and the edge and stuff.
And I will just say that this is not only like a theory, like there is already actually a very nice article by the Cloudflare team that they maybe you can share it, Joab, or somewhere, like they actually use Qwik to try to build this and prove it. But it's never been like still like a super core. So it's still, you can still do it, still works, right? All these properties apply today, right? I think it's more about the DX again, right? Like to make this like even easier, and you still have to kind of hack around to make this work. But we want to make it that easy. More questions.
Hold on. You're giving me some time just to go find the link, go find the questions. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Question link.
I will find the link. Yeah, I will find the link. You find
It's
the
I
already-
already got
already
this, and
pasted
I
it.
got a link. See, so wait, you're making me work hard. All right, we got this question. This question is there in a way tick equivalent?
Well,
I think that's
this is in a way being solved by the web right now, in a way that achieves, like, I don't know. I'm so in love with this API, View Transitions APIs, only available in Chrome. But basically, it's making all these kind of things that have to be built into the framework, how to animate. A very simple animation is very hard to do is the fade out of an element when it gets removed, right? Because frameworks just remove it from the DOM. So if you remove it from the DOM, how do you do an animation, right? You have to keep it in the DOM, run the animation, remove it. It's complicated. And all these view transition API is an API that comes like native in the browser, and it does it all for you. Like, you just remove it, they kind of take snapshots of the DOM, completely different DOM, and you can do crazy things like animate an image to a video element. These kind of things. It's extremely hard to do, like, with right now, or impossible. You will have to kind of create like a third, like another element, and move it, and then like fade it in, and this is kind of like so again, like, solved by Chrome, and we have a nice integration with them already. I recall I was in a meeting with in Chrome team, and it was all other framework makers, and Rich was there. He was also very, very excited about Rich
Harris.
Yeah.
Rich Harris.
He was very,
Svelte
very
guy.
excited about it as well, and I think they added Svelte kit support as well. It's super exciting. You can create such a crazy animations with this API that I feel like I will rather explore more around that right now than adding things to the framework for the animations, because the Chrome and the API is really catching up.
Yeah, and I really wanted to second that. I think that if anything, it's more of a documentation thing. Like, how would you do this in Qwik? But we really do want to leverage the browser as much as possible. And I think that we learned that a lot with Ionic. The more that you let, web animations kick in, let the actual browser do the heavy lifting rather than writing JavaScript and request animation frames. It's best to, let the browser do it. So really it kind of comes down to us, like, how would you do this in Qwik and make sure that that's simple? I'm not going to say
it's also a good opportunity. Are you talking about the text you wrote here? You off twice? Yes, use the platform. We agree with that completely, Qwik. But what I wanted to mention is, like, abstractions are key here, right? So, like, there's a good opportunity here for people watching to create libraries, like make a really nice abstraction system, nice set of quick components for animations that utilize, I mean, you could get fancy and utilize the web transition API under the hood, and then maybe there's fallbacks to older school animation styles. I don't know. It's up to you all to decide as an amazing community ecosystem, but it'd be a really neat thing to experiment with.
And ping us in Discord, right? Like, just don't do it alone. Like, you can say, I'm doing work in this, whatever.
Okay, looking for another question. Let's see. This one looks like there was one interesting one about monitoring. There it is.
Okay, who is responding to this?
I mean,
it depends.
First pass. It isn't the obvious answer, like what you had said before, Manu, which is, like, generally speaking, whatever tools you'd use with other frameworks you would use with Qwik, there's not usually a difference, and that has to do with the DX being so one-to-one with what you're used to. The tooling will generally work one-to-one with what you're used to. Backend, however you're doing metrics and monitoring on the backend. The only thing to plug, though, is like what we do at Builder, and many people do, is if you're doing user tracking in the browser, throw that in Partytown. You want that to be off the main thread as much as possible. So with Builder, and not everybody knows this, but Partytown is not necessarily exclusively for loading a third-party script where they give you like a JavaScript file and you load that. Like, we actually create a bundle for Builder's website. We actually create our own like NPM module that has like this aggregated tracking system that's got like segment and amplitude and Google Analytics and all this stuff. It's squashed into one file, and that's loaded through Partytown. And so, yeah, whatever you do in the client, throw it into web worker if you can. Everything else is basically the same thing you'd always do. And you don't have to use the worker, but if you want absolute best performance, it's a really good idea.
Okay, let's find one or two more. What do you think, guys? How many do you want to do? This is
Go fast. Let's go pa pa pa.
Come on.
I have thoughts on this too. I don't want to usurp these questions. Let me give a brief answer. Others can jump in. So if you're talking about iframes in general, the Qwik docs use tons of iframes because each of those little previews you can interact with is an iframe. And usually an iframe comes with performance cost because you're loading another website, which has hydration and JavaScript and stuff. But with Qwik, it's just HTML. So an iframe itself, if the iframe content is Qwik, don't have to worry about it. Just don't forget, Google can't see that, so it will not be crawled. But if you're talking about you're trying to load a YouTube video, there's nothing, because of how just like web security works, there's nothing Qwik can do to save you from a YouTube video that's going to download an enormous amount of JavaScript, because YouTube itself, of course, didn't use Qwik, with the exception of there's a loading equals lazy attribute now you can use on iframe. So use that anywhere you can. So it only loads when near the viewport. Anyway, if anybody else wants to add to it, that's a quick answer.
I think it's good.
We got a.
It is
question
literally
from-
a quick
Yeah.
answer. Ha ha ha.
For this, I think nothing fundamentally prevents it. I think it's not the main goal now. I think because most of the innovations that Qwik has have the biggest impact when you like SSR or just get a page, like from the server. It doesn't mean like Qwik is a fully SPA framework. Like you don't even need a server. We have all this demo, like for example, Shai built this Cypress thing, which there is no event server. It's all browser hydrated, not like bootstrapped, right? So it's something that maybe the community wants to take on, and maybe something we want to solve. But it's not necessarily something that maybe we are working in the short term. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the downloading a video versus streaming a video. With an app, a mobile app, you actually need to download, the video, so to say. So yeah.
Okay, let's see. One last one, maybe. How about that?
Yeah, we had a good one with the is mostly for what kind of application should Qwik be used? Right, this is a good question that keeps coming back.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on that one. My point here is that it is whatever you would use any other framework for. Just like Angular, React, Vue, Svelte, etc. They're general purpose frameworks, and you can really build anything you want with them. Similar thing is true for Qwik, and I think that's important, right? Because there are other technologies that are specific for specific things. Like, I want to build a site that's maybe a blog or something like that. It has a lot of static content. I may use other things, but when it comes to like complicated applications, really you're kind of you have to do full-on framework. And the nice thing is that you can, with Qwik, you can have the full-on capabilities of all existing frameworks, but you can get like this optimized performance, like as if you're just serving HTML. And that's a unique thing that I don't think is something that's is available in any other place.
Yeah, I like answering this one with yes, because I think one thing that Qwik has been able to do is blur the line between an MPA, multiple page application, or SPA, single page application. Is that it really, it's what you decide at that moment of the interaction. Whereas normally it's like, I'm building a doc site or I'm building a blog, I should probably use this framework, that builds a bunch of static sites. Like, but if you're building a dashboard, you should probably use this framework instead. Whereas we can say like, well, it really doesn't matter. You can go in between your doc site and to your dashboard with an SPA link, between the two, and it's going to download just what you need. So I think Qwik allows that discussion to kind of be squashed, where it doesn't really matter with Qwik, because it can be just static or it can just be, SPA, and you don't have to develop any differently between the two.
Yeah, I just want to. Okay. No.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
That was your cue, or go ahead.
Okay, no, it's. I think a lot of frameworks are interesting for different reasons. So all the frameworks that are like popular, new frameworks that are becoming popular, Solid, Astro, they are interesting. They are very interesting. So if you are like building something new, you should try it maybe because it's actually maybe something to learn. I think like Solid, you will learn a lot of new things that can also be applied to Qwik. I think Qwik is very interesting. Of course, I'm biased, but it's very interesting. So you can try us because of that. I will say that it will be extremely good thing. But then it's true that even though Mishko said that general purpose, and it's true, you can build like whatever you could use React or Vue, the most benefit will come, I guess, from a complicated application, right? That's where the most benefit will come. Yeah,
I agree. I want to add just one thing. It's just something I saw today by Ben Holm from the Astro team. I got you, Shy, sniped. Anyways, and he said like if you really kind of that he implores and thinks that any front-end developer at some point in his career should kind of just try to build a framework just to kind of learn and understand how these things work. And that is a big endeavor, but I do agree with him. And I think that kind of lets you understand the nooks and crannies of all the things. And and that's always a good idea to try things out and also try to implement it yourself. And look at Steve. He just tried to implement the CMS and then Builder happened. No?
Well, you know what's also crazy? I was trying to build a framework built on top of Backbone way back in the day for reactivity and stuff. And then I discovered AngularJS. So it told me about it and I was like, no. And then I kept building this framework and I kept looking at AngularJS and I was like, I'm just building AngularJS, but worse. And so we migrated to AngularJS. And then I mentioned the story earlier, like we were trying to figure out a better, faster way to load HTML with bits of JavaScript as a frameworky thing. And now twice I've given up on frameworks because of Mishko, because Mishko was doing it better. I was like, throw it away. We'll use what Mishko's making. Learned a lot, though, especially at least in my opinion, at picking what is a good framework at the given point in time for the type of use case that's involved and understanding the intricacies of it, like which I think is Ben's point.
What I wanted to say, Yoav. Yeah, yes. I got you now. Okay. Just to close the point on like the types of applications, like everybody here said, general purpose, large scale apps will benefit a lot from it. And there are like, in my simple mind, I have like two types of application. I have like the search engine facing apps and I have like, a behind a login screen apps, right? So I think a lot of clear benefits, immediate benefits for adoption would go for the search engine facing apps because you gain a lot more conversions, a better SEO ranking, like Antoine's shared. You get all these benefits with the same and better, even sometimes developer experience. But it doesn't mean that for a behind the login screen, it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, like, to any search engine facing apps developer out there, this is an awesome argument for showcasing or even doing a POC with Qwik to showcase like a diff between, the current results of our front page and the Qwik results. So just wanted to throw it out there.
If I can piggyback on this.
Go.
Who was first? Go. Okay. Thanks, Mishko. Just, I was of this opinion for a long time that the search engine, or you could call conversion driven, could be search, could be ads, anything that must load fast for people is truly the thing that you will get in overnight immediate benefit, like measurable. Your scores go up, your SEO will go up, your conversions will go up, bounce will go down, like it's super obvious. But I and so I thought for the longest time that yes, Qwik for that use case is no brainer. But I have to say, our builder.io web app built with React that's over 1 million lines of code is a huge pain in the ass. Sorry for cursing on the stream. To add dynamic imports everywhere to fight the overwhelming beast of React's trying to just consume your browser's resources, right? You're building an application with drag and drop and all these things, and it's just a constant fight of measure, split, manual orchestration. So like when you get an application, a behind the auth application of certain complexity, if everything was just automatically split like Qwik does, we would be moving so much faster internally builder. Like we will do the migration. We're figuring out the migration path now of how we start incrementally moving from this gigantic React app. React is great in other ways. Don't get me wrong. React's amazing. RSC has amazing ideas, blah, blah, blah. All these frameworks are amazing. But for our use case right now, oh my goodness, we need to migrate over to Qwik and we can continue to build fast and be fast. So that might be something you face more down the line, though I do think Antoine gave a great example of like using an application that's rich without a perfect network connection. So anyway, it's a good argument to make for applications of all sizes and all types of formats. But I'll shut up. Sorry, Mishko, I rambled.
I think I mostly wanted to say the same you're adding, but I also wanted to add to it, which is that people don't think that only SEO stuff matters. But I want to point out that a lot of things what happens within companies internally, that's all behind the login screen, is you're sharing links to stuff, right? And I have to tell you, like when somebody sends me a link to a spreadsheet, I take a second and I think about it. Like, do I want to click on that thing? Do I want to just give up 10 seconds of my life for it to like show up, right? And so you do want this for everything, not just for SEO websites, but also for internal websites. And sharing links between your coworkers is kind of the bread and butter. And whether it's the spreadsheet, a document, a CRM system or CMS, doesn't matter. It's all just like, you just have that split second of like, is this going to be worth it, right? The thing I'm going to get out of it, is it going to be worth me waiting? And exactly, your brain kind of remembers exactly how much you're going to pay for that click.
Someone shared a basic dashboard with me that had all these charts, and I command clicked like 5 different charts on new tabs, and my computer crashed because these charts that should just be a HTML with SVG. No. We're downloading a big old React app. We're doing a lot for each of these charts. And also think about how long it takes for Slack and Notion and other applications on your computer to load. Like if those could just load instantly, it just is HTML until you interact. Anyway, I won't go on and on, but yeah, I think the world could be a better place.
There is this guy in Twitter. I saw he makes these amazing landing pages. I don't know if you guys seen it. Wope.com. It's like a linear with hundreds of animation, every little widget.
You want to share the screen?
The latest one.
I can share.
If you go to the Qwik homepage in the showcase, the second one is their latest site. It is amazing and it's crazy fast.
So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys can find the tweet that he said, but this developer, it's a kind of a developer and also a designer. They kind of work together. This page is full of interactivity, like literally anything in this page that you can like interact with. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's just animations, everything you can over. You can it's like massive, right? And recently he made a new one. Which was Reflect app, very, very similar. It's a different project, even though it looks extremely similar. It's a different application. And he said in his tweet that they are choosing Qwik because they need to move fast and have a very fast website. So they cannot spend time optimizing this. They just want to build it fast and be fast, right? And the fact that he came up with this is exactly the reason Qwik exists. I don't know if you have the link to the tweet, but maybe I can try to find it. I don't know. You just click for me. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody else without screen sharing.
Yeah, here. I think it's him. Okay. It's him.
You search Twitter, you can find other results that you don't want to show. Anyway.
Qwik. Let's see. Maybe it's going to be yeah. He says this with challenges like managing cave animation. I choose Qwik Dev for rendering, saving time and optimization. I think this is key, right? Saving time and optimization. That's exactly the point. They have even though it's a landing page, extremely complex landing page. They probably have hundreds interactivity, hundreds of listeners, code for animations and all these things. Lazy loading. Qwik automatically will do that. And if they have to build this with other framework, they could still make it fast, but they will have to still put 40% more hours to make it fast. And if we check this website again, it's a huge website with 100 million things. We saw page speed. Let me just run it very fast here. I'm just going to here again. This is a lab result. This is going to be tested in a way that is kind of reliable with a slow device. It's kind of a mobile. First of all, it passes the Core Web Vitals, which is kind of the new kind of performance test. This is very good. Let me see how the score is.
While we're waiting for that, I'm going to jump in here.
Yes.
It's kind of nice when you open up the network tab and you show the homepage and you see a bunch of JavaScript show up, and then as you scroll lower to the page, more and more JavaScript is showing up. It's like, oh, now you need this interactivity, now you need this, and it's just amazing to see. And it really goes back to this idea of streaming, right? Like as you're interacting with the page, as you're navigating, in this case the interaction is just a scroll, but code is showing up continuously ahead of it.
So we just get the result 91. Again, this is mobile, right? If I test it in a desktop, it's 100%. Like it's zero blocking time. Like there is no blocking time. This is mobile, a slow mobile phone. Like even like I don't want to compare, but very basic landing pages easily get 60 here. Like in other frameworks, if they haven't spent time to optimize.
By the way, Manu, I remember I also checked it out when you sent it to me. And the performance hit was just from Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics. And if you would have used PartyTown, it was basically almost...
Exactly. That's also true.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Let me see. Where you can see that main thread
work. Yeah.
Also, it's a massive page, so most of the time it's in the styling, right? The script evaluation is this, and yeah, it's true that I think it's mostly somewhere. I don't know what it is. They're here. I don't know.
Can you show what Mishko was talking about? I just pulled it up for myself, and it's really cool. If you open the website in a new tab, you go to the network tab, click JavaScript, and then start scrolling, and just see how the JavaScript streams in as you scroll.
Okay, let's do that. So let's see. Well, I never do that with this page, so I
refresh the page before you start scrolling. Right.
Okay.
Now as you start start scrolling.
I removed this.
Notice the service. Notice the service worker.
Start scrolling. I started scrolling. Notice again. This is amazing. Like the code that downloaded was kind of already downloaded by the service worker, but it's not being executed or compiled or anything by the Chrome. Right? It's done by
time is still 1 millisecond.
Yeah, see?
Yes.
But it's already there. Like it's not even if I remove internet, it will still work. Right? It was already the service worker downloaded. They didn't have to do anything.
Please do not remove the internet while demoing this.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Don't uninstall the internet.
Think about they didn't have to do anything, like nothing, no extra work to get all these properties. And yeah, it's as I scroll, I can clip this up. It keeps doing it.
Well,
right.
And this is a beautiful example of JavaScript streaming. Mishko are showing in the course. This is what we break for, like what you call like it's already there. Buffering. It's buffering like a video. It's buffering the next JavaScript. And what you see with the service worker is lazy execution. It's not lazy loading. It's lazy execution, which is a whole different ball game than what we are used to think of.
Yeah. And if you compare this to a hydrating app, literally all of that code would have downloaded immediately, and all of it would have executed. And it would have been more code because it's not automatically code split. So things that will never be interactive will not, never make it to the browser like in Qwik. So it's crazy how you'd have to download and execute the entire application, and then you can see animation or click something.
Yeah. Actually, it was super cool to scroll. It was a good demo, like scrolling through WoW and seeing the things coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a mental note. I need to make a video on that. Mental note. Cool.
Mental note. All right, guys. I think 2.5 hours is a decent amount of stream time.
I know we're coming up to the Ryan Carniato kind of a style.
Yeah, exactly. I need a bio break so badly. When I put my video up before and he called me out, I was about to run and I was like, oh, gotta come back. Then we went another hour. So yeah, I'm ready to wrap, even though I enjoyed it tremendously.
Wait, we still have 180 more slides to go.
Yeah. All right. Any final words?
I just wanted to say that I love you all. This is so much fun. It is so much fun to work on these cool projects with you and the awesome community and everybody. And just, big kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
I love you.
Let's end this with just kumbaya. Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the stream.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.